Welcome to my channel. My name is James, and I'm here to talk about the pathway to inner peace and serenity journey. We've been talking a lot about the Serenity Prayer in these last few videos, and this is kind of wrapping up the series on the beginning of the Serenity Prayer. And the Serenity Prayer, for those of you that don't know, is God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Grant me the courage to change the things that I can change, and grant me the wisdom to know the difference. And this is just the first section. It actually goes deeper than that. We've already talked about the things you can change, the things you cannot change, serenity and courage. Today we're going to talk about the wisdom and what it means to have wisdom and how to find the wisdom to know the difference between what you can and cannot change. This is what so many people struggle with, is really defining what you can and cannot change in your life. And people, as I've noticed, and I did this a long time myself, spent so much time and energy focusing on things that they have no control over. They put all their time, attention, and energy into things that they can't control, and spend most of their time blaming everything outside of themselves for the things that they can control, and not taking responsibility for the things that they can control. This is really where the big shift has to happen. If you want to start taking the journey to finding peace within yourself, you have to understand what you can control and what you can't. And this is really where wisdom comes from. Wisdom, to me, defines as this holistic approach to understanding all four aspects of yourself. I've been talking about the four aspects for a long time, and one of my favorite symbols is this right here. It's called a triquetra, because it represents everything, to me anyway, of the holistic approach. And understanding that we have this internal guidance system to help us find greater wisdom in our lives. So the first part of this is we have our mind. The mind aspect of ourselves is the thinking, rational part, where we do strategic planning and we think logically. We study, we learn, we increase knowledge. And this is part of the pathway to wisdom, is understanding knowledge, gaining knowledge. I had a friend of mine who is a very dear friend and a very important part of my life, and I'm going to be doing more videos about that later on. But one of the things that this person asked me years and years ago was, you're not broken, so why are you constantly studying? It's because I'm working on gaining knowledge. It has nothing to do with being broken or not broken. It has to do with expansion, always expanding my mind and expanding and understanding myself. So many years of study in my life have been just trying to understand me and what was going on inside of me, and trying to find my own path in life and what I was trying to do. The more knowledge I gain, the more I'm better able to serve other people, but only whenever I use it holistically with the rest of myself. And it took me a long time to start to understand this myself. The second part is our experiences, our physical experiences in this reality, and this is represented by the body and the physical part of the world. We have to go out and get physical experience of the things that we want. Now, when you combine knowledge and experience, this is beginning to find wisdom, but it's not full wisdom, because it can still be distorted by our perception. So I see a lot of people that have experience and they have knowledge, but the knowledge and the experience they have creates more fear in their lives instead of more hope. It creates more turmoil in their life rather than more peace, because they're missing the other two pieces of the puzzle. See, there's a third perspective in all this. You have your knowledge perspective and your experiential perspective, but there's also spiritual perspective, the spirit of source. Everything that you experience in your life has an experience of how you view it based on your knowledge and your experience of it. But then God, which is source energy, has its own perspective. And so how do we bring our perspective into alignment with spiritual perspective? This is where we really hit the fourth part and it's the part that people struggle with the most. The emotional self. And this is the circle around. The emotional self is actually the binding, it's the guidance system built in. It's the bridge between your physical, your emotional, and your spiritual bodies. It is the connecting link that combines and connects everything together. The emotional self is your internal guidance system that allows you to calibrate everything that you feel to really finding wisdom. And there's two sides to the emotional scale. If you look here, this is the emotional scale, and there's different versions of this out there. You have the emotional scale, which I learned about from Abraham Hicks and their teachings, the channelings of Abraham. I've also learned a lot from Power versus Force by David Hawkins and the map of human consciousness, which allows you to actually calibrate the vibration of your emotional states and walk up to. In fact, a lot of what I'm going to be teaching as we go through the pathway to inner peace is understanding how to calibrate your emotional states, your physical states. You can calibrate everything in your life and calibrate where you're at. And I'm going to be teaching in later videos how to do those kind of calibrations. But the key to wisdom is understanding that all four of these aspects. So you have the mind, the heart, the spirit, the physical body, and the emotions are the guidance system that you can use to know when each of these are in alignment. You see, when you feel positive emotion, when you feel joy, happiness, peace of mind, you are in a positive emotional state, and your physical, mental, and spiritual well-beings are all in alignment with each other. And this is a key to understanding the law of attraction, which is my next series I'm fixing to start doing right after this video. We're actually starting a series on the law of attraction and what it really means, because most people don't get it right, which is why they fail to utilize it in their life. They have a misconception of what the law of attraction is all about, and we're going to be talking about that in an upcoming series. I've got 3 series coming out on this channel that we're working on. One is the law of attraction. We're going to be talking about what the law of attraction is, some of the misconceptions around the law of attraction, and how it really, really works. 2, we got a next series. One of the second series we're going to be doing is I've been going through Dr. Wayne Dyer's 10 secrets to success in inner peace, and we're going to take each one of his secrets to success in inner peace, talk about my viewpoints on them, and how you can apply these principles into your life to find more peace and success in everything that you do. So that's the next one. And then also the third one that I'm going to do is about understanding our personal journey and understanding a little bit woo-woo stuff. But we're going to be talking about the journey inside of ourselves and the journey to our ideal relationships, which is something that I'm got some different views on. I've seen a lot of content on this kind of relationships on YouTube, and I got series coming out on that. So let's get back to wisdom. Wisdom is this combination of your knowledge, your experience, your spiritual perspective, and finding alignment with all of those through understanding your emotional guidance system. And understanding the emotional guidance system is a huge part of understanding where we're going and how this is all works together. When you feel negative emotion, when you're feeling in a negative emotional state, when you're low on the vibrational scale of emotion, you have to understand that you're out of alignment with source energy, with spirit, in your perspective of your experience and your knowledge. When you gain that perspective back, when you find that harmony with it, this is when you find true wisdom in your life. So I've had a lot of people throughout my life coming to me with different problems. I remember an experience with some friends. I was about 25 or 26 at the time. And a friend of mine, I had 2 friends of mine that were arguing with each other. And one of them came to me and asked me, how this was, what this was. And I said, one of the things you said, there was two things that I told him. And I sat down and talked to him, and I said, look, I said, there's two sides to this. I said, one, sometimes you see something in other people that's something you've already dealt with yourself, and so kind of where it feels like. You know what they could be, but you also see that they haven't dealt with that within themselves. I said, that's one perspective of this. He said, okay. I said, the other part of it is the part that most people don't want to hear. He said, what's that? I said, you see in others a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And something that you don't like about somebody else, especially somebody that's your friend, often it's a reflection of something you don't like about within yourself that you haven't dealt with yet. I said, so sometimes you're seeing things inside of them that you have dealt with and you know where they could go. The other side of it is sometimes you're seeing something inside of them that is a reflection of you that you need to deal with. And he looked at me, he says, how did you get so wise? He said, how does a young kid like you get so wise? Because he's like, older. And I said, because I sit around and listen to old farts like you all the time. That was my only answer at the time. But the reality is I feel my way through these things. And I didn't really know what I was talking about at the time, by the way. A lot of this was just, I've always had an intuitive nature. And people have been coming to me since I was 15 years old, asking questions like this and asking me for guidance and insight. And I just intuitively have a sense of knowing all this kind of stuff. And this is where some of my wisdom comes from, because I'm able to open up and intuitively see these ways of looking at things. And I've never fit in. I've always been kind of this weird person who's always been able to see things that other people don't see. I see the world from a totally different lens, and I've always been that way. I spent a large portion of my life in depression because I was trying to force myself to fit in. I was trying to belong. I was trying to be a part of the group, and I never could do it. When I started learning more about me and my internal workings and my own journey, and I just said, F the world, basically, and I'm going to live from my perspective. I'm going to live by what I feel is my truth, and I'm just going to serve people as best as I can with what I am, but I don't have to fit in. I can be in this world without being of this world, without having to fit in with society's rules, with cultural rules. And I can tell you, I'm surrounded by people my whole life who have not accepted me, tried to force me to fit into cultural ways of being, into telling me what I should think, what I should believe, what I should be. And I am spending more and more time, especially right now, breaking free of those kind of relationships, breaking free of those kind of people that are toxic, that want to fit me into their mold that I don't belong in. So I hope that this helps you to understand the pathway to true wisdom is by going within yourself. So what do? Everything outside of ourselves are things we cannot control. This is where we have to find a sense of peace and serenity with the things that we have outside of ourselves and just accept them and allow them to happen. When we look inside, we can control our thoughts, we can control our actions, we can control our alignment with spirit, and we can listen to our emotional guidance system and start trying to find the feeling that brings us into alignment with spirit. When we find the right feelings, and we're going to go deeper into the emotional guidance system in later videos, but the emotional guidance system is the key to wisdom, because the key is understanding that our emotions are really the guidance system. See, the way I look at it is this, is spirit has a view of you and your world, and your body has experiences of this world, and your mind has ideas and beliefs about those experiences in this world, and the emotions tie all of those together and tell you where you're at. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling guilt, if you're feeling shame, if you're feeling blame, if you're feeling any of the negative emotional states, it's because you're out of alignment with source energy in your perspective of the situation. I have a lot of people that say, what about good and evil? It's an illusion of the mind. We also have to start understanding the ego, and I've got a whole series coming out later on about the ego, breaking down what the ego is, how it works. I've seen a lot of videos on the ego, and I agree with some of them and disagree with some of them. We'll just say that, and we'll go into it in more depth in later videos because it's a long, in-depth topic. But one of the things that I found is, as we find this balance of wisdom, we find that we all have wisdom inside of ourselves. Every one of us. I don't do this stuff because I'm different and better than everybody else. I might have a different perspective than everybody else on a lot of things, but I'm not better than anyone. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about realizing that we all come from the same source. Everything that I'm talking about, everything that I've done in my entire life, you can do it as well. You just have to learn how to do it and how to open yourself up to those kinds of experiences. When you do this, you're going to find your life opens up before you, and you're able to do more, not only for yourself, but the more you do this within yourself and find this place of balance and harmony within yourself, the better you're going to be able to serve other people, which to me is really what it's all about. I believe, I've been studying a book called The Law of One recently. It's a series of 5 books. I'm on book 3 right now. One of the biggest pieces of wisdom I've gained from understanding that Law of One is realizing the true polarity of positive and negative, which is understanding that there's 2 sides of service. You have service to yourself and service to others. We also all have free will, and this is really the key to understanding harmony and balance in your life. It's also the key to understanding if you're walking the light path or the dark path. The path of light, the path of service to others, is all about understanding free will. Free will is one of the key components to understanding truly serving others, which means that you have to understand that anything that you do that interferes with the free will of another person, which means you're telling them what to do, you're telling them what they have to believe. This is why so much of my content, I'm always saying, this is what I believe, this is what I experience, this is what I want. Because as a spiritual being, I want to share my experiences with others, but I'm not here to tell you that this is what you have to do in your life. I can tell you sometimes that if you want these results, these actions will give them to you. If you want this result over here, different actions will give you that result. But I'm never going to tell you which one you have to do. It depends on what results you want in your life. I can't tell you that certain actions bring certain results, but I can't tell you which actions you should take. That's your choice. That's your free will. People that are in service to others, or service only to themselves, are always trying to take away people's free will. They're trying to use other people. They're trying to dominate other people and tell people what to believe, what to think, how to live, how to act. And their world is full of people that are like this. So you're going to have to, this is one of those keys to understanding, how do you really know if you're working with a teacher that is working in service to others versus service to self? A true teacher will tell you, this is what I believe, this is what I think, but they will never tell you what you have to believe or what you have to think. And a true teacher will never tell you how to behave, how to act, and give you a dogmatic approach to life. This is why I chose spirituality over religion, because religion is very dogmatic. It's very much service to self, not service to others. They use service to others techniques and strategies and beliefs, but they really are more self-serving than they are people-serving. So this is one of the keys to understanding wisdom. Let me know what you think about wisdom in the comments below. And out of the series coming up that we talked about, leave me a comment and let me know which one you would like to see the most of as we dive forward. I would love to know other people's perspectives. And if you have any questions about the pathway to wisdom, let me know in the comments. Now, this is just the first part of the Serenity Prayer. And as we are going further, the Serenity Prayer is actually a lot longer. This is the most common, popular part. If you want to dive deeper into the rest of the Serenity Prayer, leave me a comment below and we'll continue this series if enough people want to see those videos. If not, this is probably, if I don't get enough people wanting to see more, this will probably be the last video in the Serenity Prayer series. But let's keep going and start working on understanding truth. In our next series, we're going to be talking about the law of attraction, what it really means, and actually how this holistic approach that we're talking about with wisdom will help you use the law of attraction more effectively and start manifesting things in your life. When that first video comes out, you'll see it right here, and you'll be able to start your pathway to the law of attraction. If you need any more help, let me know. We'll see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day.